So you've learned how to cast on, and you've learned how to do the first stitch, the first knit stitch. So I'm going to reinforce a couple of points about the knit stitch and then explain how to build the project. So again, you have the needle with the project on it in your left hand. This is assuming that you're right-handed. And you have your other needle in your right hand, and you take the right needle, you go on the left-hand side of the stitch, and then push underneath the left needle to make an X. Now, you're going to shift basically your weight, so to speak. You're going to put the whole project in your left hand. Your thumb is going to be on the top of the X where the needles cross. Your index finger and other fingers are going to be just below, holding the whole project. Then again, you do your pinky, the flip, the index finger, and then you put the yarn, you wrap it underneath the bottom needle, across through the X. And here's a trick to not drop your stitches. You put your left index finger on the tip of the bottom needle, and then as you bring the needle from the bottom to now the top, never let your index finger go here, and that's going to guide it through and help you not to drop the stitch. So now you have that bit of yarn on the top, and now you gently slide the stitches from the bottom needle up so that without yanking on the project, that top stitch is going to come off of the left hand needle, and now you have your second stitch, your second knit stitch on the right hand. I'm going to go through that again, and I hope that that's clear. So again, I'm going to get the yarn in my right hand. I'm going to have my index finger of the left hand always touching the next stitch, and then I have my thumb of my right hand always touching the stitches on my right hand. This is because if the index finger and thumb are touching the top stitches, you won't have stitches fall off the needle. The difference in difficulty between crochet and knit is a substantial jump. So many of my children learn how to crochet when they're 6, 7, and 8 years old. Knit is a little harder, and really my children tend to take off with knitting closer to age 10 or 11. The reason is that with crochet, there's only one stitch on the hook at a time. So if you mess up that one stitch, you can just undo it and do it again. But with knit, the stitches can fall off the needles. There are so many stitches that can fall off, or it's called dropping the stitch. And when you drop a stitch, it really can ruin the project unless you catch it and get it back on the needle. So to prevent that from the very beginning, you just need to get in the habit of your fingers holding on to, just lightly pressing on the top stitches closest to the edge of the needle so that they don't drop off. And if you can always feel those top stitches, even if you're not even looking, you'll get so good at knitting that you don't even need to look at the project a lot of times, but you just always need to make sure you can feel those top stitches. So that's the trick. All right, so we're going to do another knit stitch. You're going to take the right hand needle, you're going to go to the left hand side of the yarn and push it through to the right, and put that needle underneath the left-hand needle. Now you're going to hold the whole project in your left hand. You don't have to remove your right hand, but I'm just showing you that that can be done. Then you gather your yarn, you wrap it underneath the bottom needle and through the X made by your needles. Now you regain control of the right hand needle with your right hand, and you do the trick again. You take your left hand index finger, put it on the tip of the bottom needle, and you don't leave contact with it until it's safely on the top of the left hand needle. Now I can see the 3 stitches on the right hand, but the stitch isn't done until it is no longer on the left hand needle. So I gently slide it off, and now I have my 3rd stitch on the right hand needle. At this point, every stitch or two, you're going to want to gently guide your stitches up toward the top of the needle so that they don't have to be yanked when you do that last step of guiding the stitch onto the right hand needle. So I'm going to do it again. I'm going to put the right hand needle to the left side and underneath that first stitch. I'm going to clasp the project with my left hand, wrap the yarn around the bottom needle, take control again of the right hand needle with my right hand, put my index finger on the left hand on the tip, put it underneath and up, and then gently slide it off. It's a very successful stitch there. So now I have the 4 stitches. Good luck, and email me if you have any questions.